Okay, little sound check. Sound check, please. 1 2 1 2. Perfect. Okay. CC, how are you doing? I mean, other than, I get it, the dog. I mean, sorry, but all right, sound check 1 2, good. Okay. So today what I'm going to do is, not so much go over, I mean, I'll go over Bitcoin and stuff like that, but I think today is like more of a training type thing. And so that's kind of what I want to delve into, if you guys are okay with that. And then I'll have this, obviously, it's recording right now, so if anybody wants to go back and watch it later, they can. But anyway, let's go ahead and just start real quick with where we left off last night. As I said, Bitcoin is any dip below, in CC I told you this, any dip below 8,100 was a good buying opportunity, and there you had it. It dropped below, bounced right back. It's going to be a choppy move, right, for this last wave, in my opinion. I think this is just going to chop all the way up. I don't know that until we break this 8,500 area, then you'll get that last rush in, and then we'll see what happens at 9,000. But basically what I wanted to go over was some similarities in the charts, okay? And if I was to scroll back on Bitcoin, okay, and I'm just scrolling back a little bit, and if I look at this entire move that we've had to the downside, okay, we had a bottom back here around 3,000 or 3,500, and we had our big, massive move up to 13,000. This whole thing coming down is just very corrective, right? And so if I was to scroll back even further, big move, scroll back, big move, coming back. The question is going to be if this area right here holds. And I said that from the beginning, is that to me, 6,000 had to hold. Preferably 6,500, but it doesn't matter, right? So now what we're watching for, and I'm just going to throw on another chart and I'm going to give you an example of what I think might happen. BSV. Okay? Similar, right? You had the big up, you had the corrective down, you had a big up, and then corrective, move up, and then look at this little move right here, right there. That's what got my eyebrows up on BSV. When I saw something like that after a, strong support here, right, at support, and then makes a move up, that's smart money getting in, right? Smart money was coming in, and then corrective down, and then you get the massive move up. Not saying that's going to happen to Bitcoin. Now, if it breaks 9,000, that could definitely happen. Something like that. Okay, so I always watch those type of, everybody thinks it's just, and it just lulls everybody into a depression, right? This is boring. It takes 2 months, 3 months to make this move, and then you get that. That's what's called consolidation. That is consolidation after an up move. Now what am I expecting on BSV, right? So I'm watching, okay? Let's go back and look right over here, which was resistance, and that's 0.016, okay? That's a 50% retracement from that move, okay? So if you're wanting to get back into BSV, I mean, typically a 3-day sell-off, right? And I think this is probably day 1. Day 2 may come down a little bit further. Day 3 is the area you want to be looking to buy. So either tomorrow night or sometime on Monday, if it hits this 38.2 retracement, that would be a good buyback opportunity. Okay. But I don't know that I would just hold that thinking that it's going to the moon, right? I think this has to correct a little bit more, right? You see these Bollinger Bands and they're just so far apart that it's going to take, it may take 2 or 3 weeks for these things to tighten back up again. And if you go back and look, you get a big move and then you get a correction, right? The upper Bollinger Band has to come up and meet, right? Get tight again. And then you start seeing where it's going to go from there. So BSV's made its big move. Let's see if it just consolidates. And I mean, for all I know, this thing could go up again. But it's so far outside the Bollinger Bands, it has to pull back in, one would think. Right? So that's kind of my thinking. And that's my thinking on Bitcoin. Is that, it could just make this type of move up here, consolidate, and then if it does break through, then you're going to see like FOMO like you haven't seen before, right? Because that's the 200 and the 233-day moving average right there. That's massive resistance, okay? And a fib cluster right at the end of the fifth wave. And the resolution of the target for the inverted head and shoulders. So kind of my thinking. Any questions on that? Yeah, that's CC. That's where I think this is headed, in my opinion. I really do. It's just seeing that bounce off that, which was old resistance, right? This was a resistance area, which should be support. And I'll zoom in a little bit so you can see it on your phone. There you go. You had the up move here for a 1 wave, down for a 2 correction, 3 impulse, and now you're coming back and you're testing and not violating wave 1. Right? And so we had that little dip, came back, didn't violate wave 1, and now we're trying to go into wave 5. Right? And it's going to be a choppy one. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be like a massive move to the upside real quick. It's just going to be real choppy, right? Okay, so if you do this, and I'll just show you, right? And I'm just taking my chart. So what you want to do is, so here's the head, right? This is the head of the inverted head and shoulders, the bottom, right? And then the other thing you have to look for on inverse head and shoulders is the volume, right? So you had big volume coming in on the left shoulder. Typically what happens going into the other shoulder is you get a decrease in volume, right? So you had a big increase right here at the head, and then you get decreasing volume going into the other shoulder. All right? Now what do? We've got this down, and here's the neckline, right? So I took it from this neck to here, and then it's basically just a trend line, right? You're drawing it from that neck of the shoulder to right here. Now, how do you measure that out when it breaks out, right? You do it this way. You take whatever the low price is right here to the high point here, okay? On that move, right? So how much is that? That's 6,400 to almost 7,700. So that's 1,300 points or sats, right? Once it breaks this right here, you want to take whatever the difference was, 1,300, right? And add it to the breakout point, right? So 7,600. That puts you at 8,900 on that move. because that move should equal this move. But what typically happens is after you break the neckline, you come back and you retest it, which we just did, and it held as support. That's what tells me that this is going to 9,000. That's what tells me it's going to 9,000. Now, does it have to happen? No, it doesn't. But the percentage of it happening is high. And I have to take that risk, right? Because I can't just sit here twiddling my thumbs when I see something like that. And not only that, but the waves match up, right? And we're going back to retest the 200 and the 233. So everything seems to line up. Not just that, but you got the 10 crossing the 20, came back and held as support. Now it's coming back and it's holding the 50 EMA as support as well. So again, this is going to be a choppy move to the upside. It's not going to be, in my opinion, I don't think it's just going to rocket right up there. I think this is going to be a choppy move to the upside. And then we'll see what happens when we get to 9,000. Okay? But I think from here to 9,000, that's 900 sats, or at the minimum 700 sats, right? Give or take. It's not going to be perfect, right? So that's how you do a inverse head and shoulders. Yeah, S-Finder, I know. I mean, and it's happened to me in the past before too, is that it's always going to happen to people that they want to put their orders somewhere where they think it's really safe. But I think sometimes people get really conservative with that. So you got to, the fibs are not going to be perfect. Moving averages aren't going to be perfect. It's not going to just hit that number on the button. So you have to look at a little range in there and give yourself some leeway, right? Give yourself a little bit of plus to minus when you're doing stuff like that. You're not going to catch the exact bottom ever or the exact top. So anyway, that's kind of the thinking here, right? And that's how you do an inverse head and shoulders. And that's how you come up with, CC, I know. Unfortunately, it happens. But as we talked last night, anything under 8,100 was a buying opportunity. And sure enough, it looks like we got down below 8,000 actually for a little bit. And I'm sure that panicked a lot of people and whatever, but there may be other chances, right? If you're not into it right now, again, as I said, this is going to be a choppy move up, and there's going to be opportunities to get in. But if you're willing to hold it and risk it, I think eventually, in my opinion, this goes to 9,000. Now, I had a question in the channel about Litecoin, and is it is it a leading indicator for alts, or is it a leading indicator for Bitcoin? I don't know. I mean, nothing points to that to me. I mean, does it? I think Litecoin is just one of those that, it's technically when it gets to a spot, it just moves, right? I don't think it's a leading indicator for Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin, they're totally separate. But Litecoin doesn't look too bad here, actually. It's made a nice rounding type bottom here. The EMAs are all going in the right direction. Next resistance is at 54.93. So if you're in Litecoin, you still got a little bit of room to play with. And if it breaks that, it could possibly get up to 60. But by that time, it'll start getting close to the 200 and the 233 moving average. A lot of talk about taking profit near 8,500. Why? Why 80? What's the magic number with 8,500? Other than it was the top of the wave 3. I mean, you could, right? But it depends on your trading style. Depends on your trading style. Do you know, how much are you risking? What are you looking for profit wise? You know, if you're following my trading plan, it might work out well for you. You could be buying here. If it hits 8,500, then take half off the table. You know what I'm saying? Get your original capital out and let the rest ride. So that's entirely up to you. I mean, there's still a lot of non-believers out there. There's still a lot of congestion over here. You know, so a lot of people that got burned on this right here are looking to sell up in this area. But if it breaks that, we're coming back up into this area, right? This 9,000 area, not down at 8,500. I think this is just a short stop, right? It's a pause. It's just going to chop and make its way and burn through that. Yeah, I get it. You know, again, it depends on your trading style. You know what I'm saying? And again, if you're following the trading plan, you know, you're buying into something and you're using 25% of your capital, right? And you're getting into something. Once it makes a move to where you can get your original capital out plus a little bit of profit, then you're left with what? You're left with free shares. It's free, and then you don't have to worry about it. And then you could just rinse and repeat that whole process time and time again and just build up your portfolio. And it works with any crypto. It doesn't have to be just Bitcoin. It works with anything. And that's why I've been trying to, nobody wants to get too greedy, right? And being greedy is like, it's one way to get you burned. I think the old saying goes, somebody was asking the millionaire, hey, how did you get to be a millionaire? And he was like, I sold too soon. Right? And it's true. He sold too soon. Took his profits, but did it over and over again and became a millionaire. Yeah, I get you. Yeah, nothing wrong with that. And again, like I said, this is going to be choppy, right? There probably is going to be other buying opportunities to get into this before it makes that last move. But that's just my thinking. I could be totally wrong, and this thing just takes off from here and goes to 9,000. That's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking it's going to be another few days, and then it's going to probably take a week or so to fulfill this target. Now, if we break below 7,650, 7,600, then I may change my tune. Right? That'll just put us on another, we'll have to reevaluate and see what's going on with that. But as long as we don't get any major drastic sell-offs from here and drop all the way down into here, then things are good. And price on Bitcoin, as we thought, pulled back inside the Bollinger Bands. And now we're just kind of riding this upper one, right? So let's just chop around in here, make a move up, keep this upper Bollinger Band going up, chop, and just follow it up, right? This Bollinger Band could keep going higher, right? And if you look at the trajectory of it, if I was to extend that out over time, let's look at January 17th. So by next Friday, maybe? Next Friday or Saturday? let's see what happens. That's just my thinking and how my brain works. Throwback to 7,600, 7,800. Very possible. At this point, I would not want to see that. That just means that, yeah, I don't want to see it drop all the way back to here. Nope. I want to see it just chop in here, right? And stay within this big green candle right here, right? As long as it stays within that big green candle right there, things are good. You start breaking them down below that, and it could get different. Okay, and as far as alts go, let's look at the Bitcoin dominance chart. And this just kind of goes back to the thinking. It'll be good for alts as long as this thing just goes sideways. We don't want to see. I mean, obviously, when Bitcoin starts making its big breakout move, this thing will take off, right? But as long as it's just churning in this area right here, good for alts. Good stuff for alts. And it's very possible it could pull all the way back, down into here, 68.20. But right there with some good support at the 200-day moving average. So we'll see what happens on Bitcoin dominance. Let's look at some other ones. Ethereum. Excuse me. If it breaks above the 78.6, it's going to come up and test 157, which was an old area of support, which became resistance. And speaking of that, I'm gonna switch over to ETC, Ethereum Classic. And this is another good example of why you have to draw these lines, okay? So look at this. Ethereum was all the way up at 9 plus, came screaming down, had support in this area, right? Support in this area, right around $5. Held support, made a move, could not make a higher high, and then comes screaming down and breaks below that support, which leads to lower lows, right? So once it finally hits a bottom, which was back over in this area, which was support, look what happens. Our old support line, which becomes resistance, it's now breaking. It's breaking above that. It's testing a fib cluster right now, right here in this area. So do you want to be very bullish right here? I don't. I don't want to be buying into resistance. I mean, the EMAs all look good. They're all hooking up, right? They're all hooking up, but I don't want to be buying into resistance. So let it pull back, and now let's see if, let's just change this now, because that was resistance a few times, right? Support, right, became resistance. Couldn't break through. Couldn't break through. Tested, broke through. Now, this area ought to be support, right? 520-ish ought to be support for ETC. And you can use this on any chart, right? And just go back. And it doesn't have to be, you can draw the line like this. Some people want to draw it like this. And I'll just show you. You can go to your, over here, what looks like a caret. This little area right over here. Go over here and go rectangle. And just draw it from, let's call it that. And then just drag it over. Oops, if I can get this going. There we go. Right? Just draw it like that. That's kind of like your zone, right? You can see it. It's just a zone area. And once it starts to break above that, then this area right here should hold. If it retraces, this area should hold and should become a buying opportunity. So it's at 576 right now. If this starts to act as resistance up here, let's see if it can pull back down into the buy zone again. And by that time, maybe the 20 EMA will be up here. The 50 EMA will be up here. And it'll hold as support. And then it goes higher. Just a thought. That's kind of how that works. Does that make sense? Does anybody see that, or do you want me to do that again? I mean, this is all teaching stuff. You have to look at where areas of support and resistance are and how they react off those areas. Okay, questions? Another one that I was looking at was ZRX. Obviously, Link is just kind of doing its thing. It's, coming up here and testing this old high. So, yeah, XTZ. Absolutely, I like that one. So basically, let me see if anything's changed here on the fibs. Yeah, that one did. All right. So let's go over here and change, just assuming this is a bottom, right? Just assuming the 78.6 holds. Let's do that. And then let's throw in and change our fibs, right? Because sometimes you're taking stuff away. Sometimes, just to make your chart clean, you want to take fibs that have been broken out of there. So 38.2 and 23.6. All right. So really for XTZ to get things kind of rolling a little bit above, I would, here's the deal. Look at this. You got the 10 EMA right here, 20 right here. These crossed, right? And now they cross below the 50. You got your 200 and 233 down here at 116 acting as major support. Okay? Major support. So what are we going to do? All right? Let's do this. And again, you have to look at stuff like this. Okay? Let's go back and look. I'm not seeing anything like where something was, really big time resistance. Maybe this area right in here. So let's go draw a rectangle. And let's just call it this area right here. Okay? That's the area right there that I want to see XTZ hold. Okay? You kind of had this little top and it was major, you see the drop off that area, which led to lower lows. Chopped around in this area right over here and eventually broke off of that. Okay? Now it's coming back down and it's trying to hold this area, which was resistance and became support. Okay? So zooming in, what are we looking at? Our moving averages. And right now, the 10, the 20, and the 50, you can see them all bunched together right here. Okay? They're all bunched together. You want to see that area just, and this could take a couple of days to play out, And it's very possible it could come back down and just use that lower Bollinger Band as a springboard. Okay? But it's also very possible that if something bad happens, then this thing and the lower Bollinger Band could just start screaming down lower and it breaks this area. But for me, the hold zone for XTZ is in this 115 to, let's call it 120 area. Right? Now you could get a little risky with this if you wanted to. You could start laddering in your position and just do it slowly. You could buy a small part here. If it drops down to here, add a little bit more, but then have your stop loss below just in case it goes against you. If it breaks this zone here, party over. And then she comes all the way back down to sub $1. But right now, this looks like the way the Bollinger Bands are going, they're probably going to tighten up really good. Gosh, maybe by next week sometime, late next week. I mean, we'll continue to watch it each day, but the way things are going, you know, this lower Bollinger Band is trying to hold as support. And it's in the green zone, right? It's in the support zone. So it all lines up that that's the area to watch, right? That's the area that has to hold on XTZ. Okay. Anything else? What's next? Oh, I was going to go back to ZRX. So this one looks really tasty, right? And I like how it's made this kind of like double bottom. And you could even try to say that maybe it's a rounding type bottom in this area, but double bottom for sure. Right? Double bottoms are just, you know, those are like you retest that area, you retest it, and you can't break below it. And so that leads to higher prices. Can you hear me? Can everybody hear me? Okay. All right. So S-Finder's probably having some technical difficulties. Anyway, ZRX, and you can see to me right here, the 50 EMA, okay, right there in green. That is always a key area, right? When you see the 10 and the 20 break like this, and now they're holding as support on a retrace, this just tells me that this wants to go higher, right? EMAs are going in the right direction. This is going to be an area of resistance here, but I could see a 2-cent move easily on ZRX. I could see it breaking this high and testing this area right here, which was congestion, right? Before it led off to that sell-off, right? So it's trying to get its act together. So keep an eye on ZRX, okay? And ZRX is one that can move, but keep an eye on OX. Keep an eye on OX. What else do we got? We was looking at Atom last night. And again, just kind of like we talked about, it's trying to get its act together. We had a nice big time reversal pattern here. Had a little correction there, and now it's trying to get its act together. Okay? Keep an eye on Atom. And I would say if I was to make a call on Atom, here's how I would play it. I would be a buyer in this area, just knowing that my risk is down here. If it breaks below this trend line, okay? And especially if it breaks, I'm just going to do this. Let's throw on the rectangle, okay? And let's just do this. The green zone, okay? What's our risk? Define your risk, right? It's a risky play, right? Which most trades are, but you could wait until it hits the 78.6, which is at 5,000. You could wait until it hits here. It's getting close to the 61.8 at 51.58. But you could ladder your position a little bit here, a little bit here. And then if it takes off, you're good, right? You're good. But this trend line has held for quite a while, okay? And that's the bullish case. Here's the bearish case. And I'll just throw this out there. And it works either way. You want to trade it, right? But this could become an inverted cup, right? You see that rounding top, double top, rounding top. And you got a cup, okay? What's going to define this thing is if it makes the handle, right? So you could play the handle part of it, but use the trading plan to get your initial capital out, right? And leave a free position just so that in case it is an inverted cup and handle and drops, then you're safe. It's free shares. But we've seen this thing make moves in the past, and it's just correcting right now. The question is, can it hold this trend line, and what's it going to do off of that? You do have the Morningstar pattern, which is one of the most powerful candlestick patterns out there that is major reversal, right? Major reversal. And just in case you guys weren't around last night, I will do this. I'm going to post a link in the channel. Let's see here. Actually, I'm just going to show you guys. I'm going to drag it over here. All right. So this is stockcharts.com, right? It was probably one of the, first places I went to a long time ago, and they've made major upgrades and everything, but they don't do a lot of crypto stuff, I don't think, but it's a good educational platform, right? So you could just glance around. Well, actually, they do cryptocurrencies. It's new. Wow. There you go. Right there, cryptocurrencies. But stockcharts.com, and I'll post the link in the channel. There you go. That's something else that will help you. So if you got free time, you can just, go around this channel and take a look at stuff, right? It works for stocks, cryptos, you name it, right? A lot of free stuff in there. And you could go to Chart School, right? You could look at indicators. This will give you a defined area of what the indicators mean, right? Just scroll through there. You could look at, if you don't know what something means, there you go, A to Z. If you don't know what a Morningstar is, let's go to Morningstar. And there it is. It's a 3-day bullish reversal pattern, right? So when I say something, you could always come back to the glossary and look at it. There's what they mean. There's the definition, right? If you don't know what an exponential moving average is or a Bollinger Band, you could always come back to this area and learn what it means. All right, so hopefully that helps. Get that out of there. Let's go over to, let's see, let's look at DGB. We got a lot of yeah, exactly. I need to put that in there. I really do. Yeah. Stock Charts is awesome. It's just a great site. It really is, and a lot of people don't know about it, and that's why I'm posting in the link, because you can't just rely on me. You can't rely on nobody else on Twitter. You have to be able to go somewhere. And if you have a question, right, because I can't be there 24/7, go to Stock Charts. It's free. Now, you could always upgrade and pay for stuff, but you shouldn't have to, really. That's just more of an educational place to go to. There's another link I can give you. It's called, let me look it up. It's been a while since I've been there. Baby tips. That's more for Forex. So I'm not going to give that one to you. How about... There we go. And I'm going to post this one in the channel as well. And this will tell you if you're unsure of like what a bear flag or a bull flag or wedges, if you don't know anything about those. And we'll pull this over. Okay, this is all free stuff, guys. All free stuff. And it's out there, right? But this just goes to show you what symmetrical triangles, wedges, flags, what they mean, just patterns, chart patterns. Okay? Free stuff. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know everything. I mean, this is stuff you guys can go out there and do on your own. Now, some people interpret things different, right? So one person may see a bull flag, the other one may see a bearish pennant, or, there's just too many variables, right? So, but it's good education to learn, all right? Good stuff to learn. And so just bookmark those on your computer, or save them to your desktop so you can quickly access them. And eventually over time, you'll start to, the funny thing is it takes experience, right? And over time, you will actually find yourself with a blank chart looking at it, and you'll be like, yeah, I recognize that pattern. It happens. It's been this way for hundreds of years. Ever since charts were invented, it's just how the human psychology works and trading and how institutions are. And so it works, guys. It really does. You just have to believe in it. You can't wait for something to happen. You have to always risk it. That's what this market is about. It's about risk. And it's about also protecting, number one, your capital. Okay? So don't rush all 100% into anything ever. Ever, ever, ever. As a recipe for disaster. And you will go broke. You'll find yourself in debt. And It'll cause multiple problems. Been there and done it. All right, what else we want to look at? Yeah, Todd, the XRP people. But you know what, though? I mean, I'm not going to rag on XRP. I mean, it's a chart. It's a crypto. It's like anything else. Let's look at it. You know, I mean, to me, I mean, I've heard some people say that the chart looks like crap, right? Looks like total hell. Well, to me, that's a double bottom. But to me, with XRP, this is just in a big consolidate. I mean, after you had this massive move, and let's go back and look at it. Where did it eventually get to? 50 cents, right? 52. And it's had a massive sell-off, right? It's tried. It's a cult crypto. And it's tried to break out. And each time it tries to break out, everybody's telling you it's going to 387, right? Until it eventually gets down here. Well, at some point, it's, there's still going to be XRP followers. There's still going to be those diehards. But at some point, those people may end up being right. Not about 387, but that it makes a move. I just don't see it happening for a while. Right? Could you sit here and trade this in a range? Absolutely you can. And so what you could do is follow the trading plan, right? You know that XRP is going to make moves every now and then, just like any other crypto, especially the majors. And so you could have been buying back in here. Now, you don't want to tie up all your capital in that, but you could have put a small percent in there, right? And wait for a move like that. Who knows? It may not end right there. This thing could come up and retest this old support area, which now is resistance. Right? That's a resistance area. So 23 cents, that's resistance. Now, if it breaks that, then it could get the ball rolling up to 26. But in the meantime, while it's back here and it's starting to look decent, right? It's looking decent. It's trying to break the 50 EMA right here. It broke it here, pulled back, held the 20. And you guys know how I feel about that. It held the 20 and the 10. And now it's trying to hook back up again. This will more than likely end up just following Bitcoin, I think. And so what we're looking for is a move to 23 cents. See what happens there. By that time, you should have possibly, got some off the table, made a little bit. And then if it breaks that, you got free stuff riding. And then who cares what it does? Because you still have some. Build your portfolio. Have multiple coins in your bag. Don't just be in love with just one. That's why I don't get too much into the fiscal part of what's going on with these things. Or the what they do, or the charts tell me everything. I don't so much need to sit there and listen to somebody tell me that, hey, they're working on this great project, blah, blah, blah. Well, that project could last, it could take 8 to 9 months to finish out. Or it could be a year from now. Those people don't care. They're on it. They're not looking at it like, or worried about what they're holding. I'm just looking at the charts. The charts are going to tell me exactly what's going on. And if you also want to see, I'm going to post this link in here too. And this is a book that I have. And I'm going to post this guy's book. Okay, let's see. And this is an old book. And you can get it on Amazon. Right there. That guy used to be, back when CNBC was really good and before they got to, into this pump stuff and whatever. But back in the day, CNBC used to be a really good educational place to go to. But Ron Insana was probably one of the more knowledgeable guys and very, very intelligent guy. And so what he did is he wrote this book, and you can always tell what's going to happen based on the charts. Okay? And it's all based on insider activity, people buying or people selling. You can always get a heads up of what's going to happen, based on the charts. So if you was to look at, let's just say Amazon, for example, and let's just throw it out there just for an example. Let's say Amazon is going to report earnings in about a month. Okay? Do you think that people on the inside probably know how well that company's doing or what they're going to report on their earnings? You betcha. They know exactly what those numbers are going to be, and so they could be either buying or selling ahead of that announcement. And so what happens by the time the announcement comes? Well, those people are either already, they're well positioned, and if it's Amazon has been rising into earnings, going up, then what's going to happen? When they report earnings, people sell off. It may be the greatest news on earth, but those people are actually already in their position, and they've made a ton of money, and they're going to sell it. So there's always insider activity going on, and that's why you have to look at this stuff. So if you start seeing, bottoms, is there something coming? Is there something we don't know? Well, I'll guarantee you somebody out there does know. It's not us. It's not the little guys. We don't know that. But there's some people on the inside that do know, and they may tell a friend, and that friend tells a friend, and then there you go. But it's not going to get out to the general public. So anyway, Message of the Markets by Ron Insana. That's a book to buy, in my opinion. Okay, what else can we look at? DGB. This is one of my favorites. Of course, disclaimer, I do own a position, but most of it's free. But still, I like this one. I mean, I just think DGB at some point, holding the 127.2, if it breaks that, down to 56. And if it gets down to 56, I may just add to my position. And here's another thing to look at too, is indicators. You can draw trend lines on indicators as well. So see down here, the stochastic RSI. People don't look at this enough. You have to look at, you can draw a trend line, right? From top to top. And if it breaks that, you're good, right? That's a move. That's something that will sustain. I don't think DGB is just there yet. But it's getting closer. This is one, the 200 and the 233 are starting to get into that range where if DGB makes a move and it breaks above them, it turns bullish. Right now, still bearish. Right? You got these things screaming down, but they're getting closer. There's not a lot of volume in here, right? So we'll see what Jared Tate does. We'll see if anybody picks it up and puts it on an exchange. But DGB is one of those that it's almost like an XRP in a way. It's a cult. There's a cult following out there of people that love this. And so if this thing starts to bust a move, then it could get Momo going behind it. So just keep an eye on it. We went and looked at Link already. Testing that top. Testing the 50% retracement area, which is not a fib. So, but you do have this old area over here, which has to be broken, right? So possible it gets to 240-ish. Okay, enough of my babbling. Chart requests or questions, please. I've babbled on too long. I know somebody has to have a chart request. Somebody. Chart requests, questions, or just type in the channel if you want me to continue babbling. I can do that. Let's look at Ren. Somebody asked me about that one the other day. Wow. Okay. That was somebody in my channel, I think. Let's go ahead and update this. So it's broken the 38.2. Let's get that out of the way. It's broken the 50. Get that out of the way. Let's clean this up a little bit. And let's get out the 38.2. All right. So Ren looking good up to 601. Close to. And potentially 618. And then eventually, if it breaks that, then we're looking at 649. It's already broken this old area over here. Now you got this area right over here. So, which we can draw this, right? Let's do it on Ren. And let's go rectangle. Okay, and so this area right over here, see this? That was a support area, and once it broke it, it now becomes resistance, right? So let's just draw it. And let's do something like this. And then let's change that color to remind us. Let's see. Yeah, hang on here. Let's change that background to red. There we go. All right. So this area on Ren becomes resistance, right? Because it was old support. So if it gets through that, then it's got a chance. Do I know how the squeeze indicator works? I know it compares with BBs. It does, actually. But it also works with stochastics as well. There is a few things. It's like volume weighted price also factors into that. It's called a VWAP. That's what they call it. Let me pull over. I'll pull over the futures chart and let's change our pointer focus to yellow so you can see it. All right. So here's where the futures closed as of Friday. They're not open right now. But to me, probably one of the more important things was we knew about this wedge, right? This falling wedge, right? We knew about this. Resistance, resistance, resistance. And now it breaks out of it, right? So, again, another one of those that just tells me that, let me get this up there. There we go. So I can scroll in a little bit. And not only that, but it's holding the 10 and the 20 EMA. It held the 20, right? They break above. It's holding that. Your squeeze indicator, normally, right? And let's scroll out a little bit. Normally, when this thing starts in a bull run, you see this back in here, and let's scroll down a little bit. There we go. See how you get a little move here? You get the blue histogram, then it goes flat. Everybody's building momentum. And then these bars typically last about 7 to 8 bars before you get some sort of pullback or retracement or whatnot. And so where are we at? Over here we had this type of move that got us going, but it couldn't sustain it. And so it led to lower lows. Now the point is this. We had this histogram, which was down here, right? At the bottom. We had this histogram, which was a little bit above that. And this is how I use it as well. That could be a bullish divergence, right? You see that? Price here, histogram here. Price lower, histogram bottoms higher than over here. Now price is reacting off that. So now we're going to see if this histogram can extend out 7 to 8 bars before we get a pullback. Does that lead us into the 9,000 area up here? Which on the futures I've got it as 88, 8,900. But it could possibly hit 9,300. So this is what we're going to be watching, right? Come tomorrow night. So let's see what happens. Again, you guys know my thoughts. You know what my thinking is. I think we're going higher. All right, so that is squeeze indicator. Change my pointer focus back to black. All right, any other questions? Chart requests? And by the way, guys, if you go to, if you're wanting to see what I'm seeing on the futures, if you have, let's see, just go to TD Ameritrade. And let's go to there. I think that's what I want. Yeah. Let me find it here. That's what I'm looking for. If you're wanting to see what I'm looking for, or looking at, TD Ameritrade, and I believe you can go on there and you may be able to download the Thinkorswim. Okay, and I'll type that in here. Thinkorswim, and it's a trading platform. Okay, you should be able to download that for free, and they may even, I don't know if they still do it or not, but they used to have a deal in there where you could practice with free money. Well, I say free money, it's practice money is what it is, but used to be like 50,000 or something like that, but I would just treat it like it's, 10,000, right? It's always easy to go in there and say, oh yeah, I got 50,000 or 100,000 of something, and that's where people try to entice you into stuff. So just treat it less than what they actually put in your account. You know what I'm saying? Hey, Silent Jet. Let's look at LTC. Yeah, so I was talking about this one earlier. Somebody had the question in my Discord channel is if LTC was like a leading indicator for Bitcoin. And I don't think it is. I mean, it's just, I know people can come up with rhymes or reasons for it, but I don't think it is. I think it's just a technical move. It just held the 161.8 retracement, bottomed out there, bullish engulfing off the bottom, another bullish engulfing here, and then you get the move to the upside. EMAs are looking pretty decent, and as I said, I think it can move up to, let's call it 55 to 60. Those are target areas. I don't see anything in the way of this to stop it from getting there, technically speaking, but those are the areas I would watch right there. And then it gets it back in that congestion zone right there. Right. ETH, went over this one. And your area to watch is right here. And I'll zoom in a little bit. It's sitting at the 78.6 retracement. Okay. Resistance right here. Break above that, and you go up and test this old area right here at 158. Break that, and you go up and test 170. Okay. So that's what I got there. Always a pull, chance of a pullback back into this little area, back in 141, I would think. Hold the 10 EMA, which keeps moving higher, so that price could change over time. But as long as it stays above right there, bottom of that doji, 142, as long as it stays above that, it should be good. All right, what else we got out there? ZTH, let's go back to BTC. Just still kind of chopping around in this little motion. BSV, nice retracement off the 61.8. Still above the upper Bollinger Bands, so still the thinking might be it could possibly bounce off this upper Bollinger Band right here at sub 19 or 0.0196 all the way down to 0.018, maybe and a half, and then eventually maybe find its support right here at 0.0178. Still a chance it bounces off that upper Bollinger Band and makes some sort of a move. And if it breaks that 61.8, then it's all the way up to 0.025. And that would be a big move. That would be a good percentage gain right there. But the thinking is that it pulls back in a little bit more, just a little bit more, and then tries to make that move. All right, questions, chart requests, EOS. I haven't looked at that one in a while. Uh-oh. That's interesting. Okay, so EOS goes on watch here. Okay, goes on major watch. Wow. Wow, wow. You can, yes. BSV, yeah. If it breaks above the 61.8, then it's going to the 0.786, in my opinion. You got to be quick about it, though, right? I mean, if you're sitting there watching it all the time, it's hard to stay up 24 hours. Or you can put your order in to just buy it for you if it breaks that area. Okay, so going back to EOS, all right, let's look at this, guys. So I had this trend line in here for quite a while, okay? All right, resistance, resistance, resistance. It's trying to peek its head above that. Where would I put, if it broke above the 61.8? Then yes, I would put my stop back below the 61.8. Just a hair below it. Because it could be like, you know, you're going to... Yeah, exactly. All right, so let's go look at EOS. And again... Okay, here's a perfect example, right? It's almost identical to Bitcoin, right? And I'm gonna show you guys this. This is an inverted head and shoulders, right? Shoulder here, head here. Okay? So how would one play this, right? Let's go to our trend line. And let's just right there. There's your neckline. Okay? So here's how you do it. At your neckline, right? Here's your bottom. Now you can go over here and take this little tool right here, okay? And go over and do a trend-based fib extension. This is a 1-to-1 extension move, which means wherever I draw it from to wherever the high is, it's going to give me a measured move. All right? So I'm going to draw it from here to there, and then back to our breakout point, which is here. Okay? So right up in this area should be resistance, or the measured move of the head and shoulders. Now the next thing we want to do is we want to go in and see if there's any fib retracements that line up with this area. Okay? So let's do this. Let's go to fib retracement, and we're going to draw it from a couple of different spots, okay? Just to see if we got something going on. So I'm going to take this old swing high over here, and I'm going to draw it down to the bottom. Okay? Now, I've got these two fib extensions that it broke, right? So let's go out and get rid of those. 50, 61.8. What's that leave us with? It leaves us with the 78.6, which is like right there with the measured move, right? That's one. Let's go to another. Let's draw another fib extension. Okay? And let's just draw it from, and let's see if we get a fib cluster. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. From this high to this low. Is that not amazing, guys? Look at this. Go to settings, take out what it's broken, right? It's broken the 78.6 and it's broken the 1272. I got a fib cluster. This area right here ought to be major resistance. Does everybody see how that works? I just took a blank chart. I looked at an inverted head and shoulders. We're breaking a trend line, okay? And so what do we think is going to happen here? Okay? Logically, one would think it's going to come up and hit 332 or in that area, right? It could be anywhere from 330 to 337, right? Somewhere in that area. And right about the area where in the next day or two that the 200-day moving average is going to hit this. Okay? This area right here is going to be major resistance. So after that, here is what I would be thinking. We know it's resistance, right? So there's going to be a little bit of a pullback. The pullback should come back and test this broken trend line. Okay? Now, I want to go over one other thing. In the middle of all this, we had, look at this, okay? And this is classic. It looks exactly like Bitcoin. You got your inverted head and shoulders. Here's your neckline right here, okay? It breaks above the neckline. See that? Gets the huge move off of it. And then what does it do? It turns around and comes back and retests the neckline and the 20-day moving average, 20 EMA. Holds it and then goes back above. I swear to God, guys, I'm not making this up. This is how charts work. You just have to take a little bit of time to be able to do this, and it all makes sense. These fib clusters you saw, I did not just make those up. They lined up all in this area. Measured move, fib extensions, retracement areas. Do y'all see how that works? And I can go over that thing all over again if you want me to. But it's all a matter of just using the tools that you have and just taking 5 minutes. Somebody asked me the other day, how could I TA a chart? How long would it take? At the most, it would take 15 minutes. I can usually do one in about 5 to 10 just by looking at something like this. That just doesn't happen by accident, right? So, anyway. Hopefully you guys like that. That was actually fun. I love doing that. That's awesome. Love it. Okay, anything else? Mind blown. Yeah. Yeah, it can blow your mind, especially when you see something like this. It just, how everything lines up and what's going on. I just wish I'd seen this sooner. But it's just doing the same thing Bitcoin is, right? Nah. Regression trends, I don't know. Nope. The only thing I do, guys, is I stick to the basics. I don't look at, now again, people are different, right? Some people may tend to be more apt, and maybe it's in their mind that some indicator just looks really comfortable to them. And that's what you have to decide. Just because I'm doing what I'm doing doesn't mean that you have to do it. There may be an indicator out there that you find that it just works for you. You go back and you back test it, and it takes time, right? You have to go back and back test these things. Go back and look at them. What did this indicator do at that time? And what was the chart pattern? Where were the moving averages? It's just, I just tend to keep it simple like this. The fibs, the chart patterns, the candlesticks, those are easy for me. Only because I've used them for so many years. You may find something that works totally different for you, and you need to, I'm just telling you this, you need to stick with something that makes you comfortable. Not me, you. This is what I'm doing. But I'm comfortable with what I'm doing. Some other people like to use the Ichimo cloud. Some people like to use just other indicators because it looks comfortable to them. And you can find any indicator will work for you, but you have to go back and back test it and be comfortable with it. Right? So don't let me try to tell you, or sell you on what I'm doing. I mean, hopefully it works for you if you're doing what I'm doing, but I wouldn't overload myself with too many things on a chart. It will confuse you. And you can see on my chart, I've got what? Volume, stochastic RSI, and then I've got chart patterns and Fibonacci, moving averages. That's it. Bollinger Bands, they're in there too. Todd, have a good weekend, buddy. I appreciate it. I may actually do another one later or possibly tomorrow, so I'll be around. Weather sucks right now, so I'm stuck inside. Anyway, volume weighted average prices. Yeah, I mean, they work. They do. I mean, but I don't tend to look at them a bunch. Only because, I mean, here, I'll just show you. Hang on. Let's see. I don't have volume weighted average price, at least the dots into the futures. Let me see if I've got it on another chart here. Nope, I don't think I have it on this one either. No, I don't. I mean, it's okay. I don't spend a lot of time on it, only because I spend most of my time on crypto stuff and on this chart. Wow, EOS, unbelievable. Unbelievable. So let's do this real quick. I don't know if I can draw it on this chart or not. I don't think I can. Oh, yeah, I can. There you go. So when I was talking about drawing indicators on, or drawing trend lines on indicators, you could do this on EOS, right? So see down here, I just took it from the bottom to this, and that becomes a trend line. So it's overbought, but what does overbought mean? Overbought just means that it's right here, and you can see it's in the overbought territory, but it's still making highs. Pulls back, but it pulls back to about the 40 to 50% area over here. That's a strong move, right? So now what are we looking for? We're looking for this to go higher, possibly go up and hit in here, and then retrace off that and see if it can hold that trend line again. Right? Ultimately, I don't think this is sustainable. Eventually, excuse me. Excuse me. The thinking is that it will come up and test this area, and then eventually come back and maybe back test this trend line, much as it did this neckline. So even though you could actually buy it now, play the move up here, do the trading plan, have free shares, and then rebuy back in the $3 range, $2.96. Or somewhere in there, right? If it makes a quick move. And then see if it breaks this area and breaks the 200-day moving average. I'm going to put EOS up in the upper echelon of things I'm watching. Link BTC, yeah. Already got link in there. Yeah. So EOS is one that I'm going to be watching very, very closely. This just looks like a very bullish chart. All right, so that's EOS. We've already gone over REN. Pearl was mentioned in my channel by Being Crypto. And looks like it had I think he called it, and had a pretty decent move there. Now, can it hold that lower Bollinger Band? Stochastic RSI bottoming out. This one could move as well. Very possible. Good support. Doesn't take a rocket science to do that. All right. Support, support, support. Right at support. All right. It's all about drawing some lines, guys. Sometimes you have to know where support is, how it's reacting off that support. All right. Support, 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 and higher low. This one's kind of a cheapy one. I guess you could do something like this. Do a little fib retracement down to here. And let's just see where it killed it last time. Probably the 78.6. Nope. 61.8. 50. There we go. 50% retracement. All right, so you got that. Now let's take it from here to here. Do we have any fib clusters? Yep. So if this thing was to really get rolling to the upside, 377 would be a major, and I do mean major, resistance area. So buying at support, your risk is minimal, right? Risk minimal, but your upside is big. Your upside is big. So that's Pearl. What else can we look at? Any questions? Questions? And by the way, guys, there is no such thing as a stupid question. So if you don't know about something, ask it. Because I was stupid about 20 years ago. What is DGB BTC all about, and where can you buy it? Let's go look at the BTC pair. Yeah. So we went over this before. And let's just zoom in a little bit. All right. So you can see down here where DGB, okay, and this retracement was drawn from this low to this high, right? And we were looking for areas to buy back in, right? You're always looking at that. Once it started breaking down, now you do this. Let's see. See, and this is the thing, is I don't know what happened, and it really screws with the charts, and I hate this crap. But when they did something like this, what was that all about? That wick all the way down to 16 sats and never got there. Or at least not that I remember. What is that all about? Was that just a misprint? Was it bad order? Who knows? But it just screws with the chart bad, right? And I hate that crap. But to me, you had support here, support here, support here. It broke below support, right? So now what are you looking at? You're looking at this little zone, and let's just get our triangle or rectangle going on it. Okay, so on DGB, that's going to be the area you need to get above, right? This red zone. This is the area to get above. Okay, get above that, and this thing may start turning more bullish. It's obviously it's in a bearish trend, right? Very bearish. But it did hold the 1272 retracement, which is a very important retracement. Okay? So could one actually buy DGB down in here and feel safe about it? I think so. I mean, I think you could actually, let's see. I would wait, right? Wait a little bit. But you could be buying in this 66 to 67 sat area. Your risk is down here to 57. So if it breaks the 1272, it's coming back down into here. And then at that point, we'll see what happens. Okay, what you got there, Ricky? Check out REN BTC. I think I already went over that one. Okay, so here's what Ricky is talking about. No, you're fine. You're fine. Absolutely. No, you're fine. No, absolutely. All right, so here's what Ricky is talking about. I'm sure. Is that you've got this, what he's looking at, shoulder, okay? Head way up here, right? Is that what you're looking at? Head way up here, shoulder. Is that what you're looking at? Neckline down here. Pretty sure that's what you're looking at. And if Ricky is correct, yeah, it's clearer on the weekly for sure, but I'm just scrolling out on the daily because it's the same thing pretty much. But if you're correct about this, Ricky, then this thing is going to zero. Is that kind of what you're getting at? I mean, the measured move would be zero. That it just goes bye-bye. Which is possible. Very possible. The only thing I'm looking at right now, Ricky, to be honest with you, is I'm not looking at long-term stuff right now. I'm looking at short-term stuff. Okay? I'm not looking at trying to get somebody into a position that's going to make them stick in it for 3 months. You know what I'm saying? Unless they can build up free shares using my trading plan. If you build up free shares, then who cares? Just keep it in your account and it's there forever. But it's free. Right now, I'm just looking at this area right here, which I've pointed out before is major resistance. Okay? I'm just looking at a short-term view. Looks bullish short-term, but you've got resistance up here. Yeah, I mean, and Ricky, I talked about it before. There's going to be a lot of altcoins that will not exist, right? Um, I just think that there's just too many of them out there. It's like the market is saturated with coins right now. And it's much like back in the .com days. You had pets.com, you had this.com, you had that.com, you had you name it.com. And the market just got saturated, and these companies had zero money. All they had was a stock, right? And so their insiders and their founders, I'm sure they made tons of money, but they screwed a lot of investors on the other side, right? People that bought in thinking it was the real deal, and they got hosed. And so they got liquidated. And I think eventually that's going to happen with a lot of these coins over time. But in the meantime, that doesn't mean you can't make some money off of them. You just have to have stop losses. All it takes is one little bit of bad news to come out, and your coin is gone. And you do not want to risk 100% of your capital on any coin ever. Not even, no more than 25% of your capital should ever be placed on a trade. Period. So anyway, that's kind of my thoughts on some of these coins. Anyway, you can sit there and trade them. I would be really quick, and there's going to be some that'll do like, here's kind of my thinking on what'll happen with a lot of these alts is this one right here. Matic, right? You get pump, dump, consolidate, pump, dump. And when it happens like this, when you see a pattern like this, I'm just telling you guys, when you see something like that comes screaming down that hard, that's a dump. And it takes months, if not years, to recover. Okay? So these people all up here that were buying in, they're screwed. They are hosed. And that just becomes because they were sitting here thinking and FOMOing into it. And I'm not sure who was pumping it and what they were claiming it was going to, but that right there is a major killer, right? So now people are just going to be holding this one. It may take them, look how long this lasted. June to, before it started really making its move, June to November. That's months of just tight consolidation, dragging along. These people right here got hosed, and then it just went sideways for a long time. That's what this is going to do. It's going to go sideways for a long time. And that's what's going to end up happening on a lot of alts. Okay? All right, what else we got out there? Back to Bitcoin, just chopping along, going according to plan. What else is out there? What have I not looked at? BAT. Let's look at BAT. That's always been one of my favorites as well. Because it can move pretty good. Yeah, just consolidating. BAT is. And it's holding this 41, 40 to 50% line right here. So be on watch on BAT. Be on watch. Watching BAT. Let's go look at some other ones. You know what? Real quick, I don't. Does anybody trade S&P or stocks? Just wanted to give a heads up real quick on the S&P 500. Let's drag this chart. Let me change my pointer focus. I'm going to drag the chart over and then I'll do that. And I remember talking about this only because I've been through it before, experience-wise. Okay, so typically what happens, and of course with Donald Trump, anything's possible, right? Economy's going great, everything's looking good, but eventually you're going to get pullbacks, right? And at some point you're going to get an even bigger pullback. But January is typically the time that you see things pull back, right? It's just a matter of at what point in January do you see it. Typically, it's around the middle of the month. First part of the month, you start getting fund managers, mutual funds. They're all investing, getting ready for the start of the year. And so this is kind of what we had, right? But what am I focusing on now? We're getting close to that middle part of the month, right? And I'm going to zoom in. And you have to look for little keys and little, whatnots. But I've got this 261.8 retracement, which was from, I think, this high to this low. And it retraced right up to it. But then look what happens on Friday after the jobs number. Let's zoom in. Okay? And not only that, but let's also look at a couple of other things. So if I'm looking at this chart, I'm like, okay, well that's interesting. We hit the upper Bollinger Band. We're close to the 261.8 retracement. And we've just had a massive bearish engulfing candle right here. Okay? I don't think that's real coincidental. But it's enough of one that makes you wonder. Right there. Let's see if I can... Yeah. There we go. And let's go ahead and edit that and let's make it a little bit thicker so we can see it. There we go. And so we've got a gap on the S&P 500 at 3,200. So, would it not make you wonder that we retrace all the way back to that? So let's do this. And not only that, but let's do this as well, because I see another gap. Actually, I see multiple gaps in this thing. This is just This makes me wonder if it's going to get like political season nasty here coming up. Let's do price level. Let's throw that in there. And let's do it down here. And let's go edit them. And let's just change these thicker to show gaps. All right. Now, what are we going to do? Let's go over and do some fib retracements. And let's just see if anything lines up, right? We got a gap here, we got a gap here, and we got a gap here. Okay? Squeeze indicator, 1, 2, 3, 4. That was just way overextended. And now we're getting these light blue histograms, right? That are trying to push things down, but price keeps going up. Divergence, right? We saw it back here, right? Big up move, and then price was going up. This was going down, and then you get that drop right there. Okay? But it helped because it's a bullish chart. So let's go and do some fib retracements. And we're just basically looking to see if anything at all lines up. So assuming that is the top, right? We're assuming this. I'm not saying it's the top, but after the bearish engulfing, I'm assuming it is. So let's go and draw it from down here up to the top. And is that not amazing? I mean, let's look at it. I just drew one simple fib retracement, and I had an area where a gap was, and let's zoom in and see what we got. Okay? This is not hard, but I've got, if things are really, really bullish, they will hold the 23.6 retracement right here at 32.33. But if it breaks below that, then what do we got? We've got the 38.2 lining up where a gap is. Okay? That's one. Okay? We've also got another gap down here if things get really, really, really nasty at 31.16 where the 78.6 retracement is. Okay? So let's just keep that in mind, okay? If that is a top, right? And that's what you have to do when you're doing Fibonacci is you have to guesstimate, right? It's like, we're not saying that's the top, but just in case it is. And let's just say that on Monday morning, this thing opens a lot lower, and let's just say it gaps down. Or maybe it opens a little higher and then sells off. What are we going to be looking at? We're going to be looking at the 23.6 as support, 32.32, and then we're going to be looking at this gap to fill. And then if things get really, really nasty after that, then we're going to be looking at our fib retracements on the way down. And I just find it rather amazing that these fib extensions line up right where the gaps are. So, keep that in mind. We shall see what happens. Hopefully that helps. QQQ. Let's look at the QQQ. This ought to be fun. Oops. QQQ. Same thing. All right. Bearish engulfing at the top. upper Bollinger Band. Look at that nice hammer candle right there. Wow. That would have been just glorious. If you could have got in at 193 and it's all the way up at 220 almost. Wow. That's glorious. Let's see if it's got any kind of open gaps anywhere. It's amazing on QQQ. Oh, wow. I do see a gap. Here we go. Right here. All right. So QQQ has a pretty big gap right here. Let's go and look and see if there's any other ones, at least in the near term, right? Wow. Okay, no gaps. No gaps, all filled. Here's your gap on QQQ. So now let's do this, and let's just see if we have anything line up. All right, let's go to fib retracements. And let's draw it from obvious low to the top. And let's go ahead and get rid of that. And let's get rid of that. There we go. Clean it up a little bit. So I'm not seeing anything that lines up with this gap. Okay. Obvious wise. So let's do this. All right, so let's zoom out a little bit, and maybe we have to go back a little bit further. So let's go from this low. Didn't draw it right. Right there. There we go. And that's more like it. There we go. Okay. So no fib clusters, but if that was the top and things got nasty, what lines up with that gap? The 78.6 retracement. Okay? 78.6 retracement, and that's at 189. Now, obviously, you're going to have some major support right here where this came in, right? And that's at 194. So you're going to have some major support in this area, but if things got really, really nasty down the road, then, and let's just say that that is the top, right? Let's just say that is the top. Then once things start to come back down, and I'm not saying it's going to happen tomorrow, this thing could play out for 2 to 3 months. But 78.6 lining up with a gap right there is pretty amazing. GBTC. All right, so let's pull it up. Okay, so let's do this. Very similar to Bitcoin, right? I mean, it's almost the same thing. So it's, you know, you're almost like, and look at this. Here's my volume weighted prices are in there. The dots, you can see them. On this one it is. But again, histogram right here, low, histogram bottom, lower price. Hey, Friesen, how you doing, sir? So let's see if there's any gaps on GBTC on the upside. let's see if there's any. Okay, so we've got on GBDC bearish engulfing right here at the, I think that's the 50, nope, 100-day moving average. 50's right here. And then you got a doji off the 10 and the 20. So can it break back through? We'll see. Histogram and the squeeze indicator are all giving the green light. Yeah, I'm doing great, man. Thank you. Doing great. But let's look in on this real quick. Okay? So we've had the bottoming process back over in here, right? This was last year. And then we get our big move up, and now what are we doing? We are correcting that move, right? Correcting that move right here. So most people are expecting, after a move like this, and I would be too, but it could take longer. We'll see. But you see something like this, choppy down, very choppy after an impulse up, choppy down, then do you get the move to the upside? All right? That's what we're thinking. Okay? You got a bottom, you got an impulse move, and then you're correcting this move, right? Nothing goes straight up, and that's actually pretty darn healthy, if you ask me. I think that's pretty healthy. But can you hold support? You know, let's hold this support area and see if we can round off and go up. That's GBTC. And let's go back and look and see if it had a gap anywhere in this thing. And I think, oh wow, do I see one? Hang on. What is this? And I'm going to have to scroll in. And yes, I do see a gap. Yep, pretty obvious. Scrolling in a little bit. Let's see. Right there. There we go. Okay, so let's just draw this in there. See this little doji? That's an abandoned baby, is what that is. Doji up here, you had a big move to the upside, and then you get a small doji after a gap, and then the next day it gaps below and it can't recover the gap. So let's throw right there. And let's change that to red. There we go. All right, so there's one gap. I don't know if I really want to call that a gap. That's pretty close to filling. Let's scroll back a little bit more. God, that is, yeah, that's not a gap. Okay, so we got a gap. And if we scroll out now, let's see where that gap's at. And there we go. Okay. Couldn't fill the gap. Tried. There's your gap. Came up. Couldn't fill it. Now we're going into corrective mode. And if this thing breaks out, it could get to 19 bucks. And what that means for Bitcoin, that could mean Bitcoin possibly getting back to 13,000, 14,000, I would think, to fill its gap. And let me refresh my chart because I see it's blurry. There we go. All right. That's a little bit better. Chart's more clear. Sorry, guys. I didn't know it was so blurry. Anyway, gap over here. Okay, gap over here. And as I was saying, if it gets, this corrective move, if it starts to move up and gets to here, then that probably means 13 to 14,000 Bitcoin. All right, any questions? Yeah, XRP. I sure will. Yeah, let me go through that one for you. And if you don't mind my asking, let me see here. Hang on, let me change this pointer focus. While I'm doing this, what is your position in XRP? I mean, I know you're down 50%, but how much of your capital is tied up in it? And by the way, don't be embarrassed, guys, to okay, so you bought $1,000 worth of it. Where'd you buy it at? 50 cents? Did you buy it at the top? 40 cents? And don't be embarrassed. Don't be embarrassed about it. I mean, it happens. That's why we're here, right? Okay, so you bought all right, let me look at this. Okay. So you bought probably back up in here when it was FOMOing in a little bit. You bought it back around 47, 42-ish, 44. Okay. Okay, so as I was saying, I mean, so you bought $1,000 worth, okay, and you're down 50%. Okay. Let me ask you this, and if you don't mind my saying it, just tell me if it's none of my business. Is that all of your capital in that, or no? Or do you own other positions? Oh, just play money. Okay. So it's not like a serious situation. Okay. All right. That's what I needed to know. Yeah, exactly. You have to learn from it, right? I mean, trust me, my teacher was, long time ago when I was learning from my teacher, I was making all kinds of mistakes, and I just told him how my position was and what I was doing wrong, and he was trying to get me going on the right direction. So, okay, so then if you're down 50%, most people would want to cut their losses and just be gone with it, right? And I would just tell you this, is that if that's all the money you had and you were all in on XRP, then I would, to me, I would be like, okay, let's just get out of it, right? Let's reassess our position. Let's see what we're doing and take it from there. But if it's just play money to you, I would say this, okay? Well, yeah, I mean, you could, right? But I think you could do it two different ways, right? Have you tried averaging down? You were in at 42, XRP is one of those that if Bitcoin makes its move like we think it will, then you can take advantage of that, right? You could be averaging down a little bit. And what is wrong with like doing something like this? When you see XRP at support, right? Like it was back here, and trying to make a double bottom, you could have been like, and I'm not saying you have to do another $1,000, but I'm just saying you could buy a portion of it, right? And just eventually scalp your way out of this, or swing trade your way out of your losing position, to where eventually you're back to break even and you're just letting the free stuff ride. You know what I'm saying? Does that make sense? I mean, XRP is one of those that, yeah, it's one of those that it's been through the swings, right? And so look at this. See the red line? See the red line right here? That's the area XRP needs to get above, okay? And which, by the way, I'm gonna make this call after seeing ETC. I think it will break that, right? I think a lot of these alts hit, some major areas where they thought they had support and broke below, which became resistance, and then it turns when they break it, right? So let's look at, and I'm going to give you an example. Look at ETC. Everybody thought it was dog crap, but look what happens, okay? And I'll go over this one. This is what could happen to XRP, okay? So ETC was in this long downtrend, right? Was in this long downtrend. Hey, Mast, I appreciate it, man. This is on record, so you can watch it later if you want, but I'll be back doing another one tomorrow. Anyway, back to ETC. Long downtrend. Hit support from this area back over in here, and I could have extended that over. But anyway, bounce. Not much of a bounce, right? Not much of a bounce, but held support. Bigger bounce. Comes back down, doesn't like it, and then breaks below support, this green rectangle area, right? Now, what happens? It's resistance. Resistance here, resistance here. Breaks to newer lows. Eventually finds its bottom, okay? And now it's breaking above, and look what happens. It breaks above old support, which was now new resistance. So now what did I do? I changed this back to green. It was red, I changed it to green. That should hold as support. So if we go and look at XRP, could we assume that this could do the same thing? Right? ETC, right? And look how it's testing the 200 and the 233, okay? Could XRP do the same thing? If it breaks above this red line, it goes to 26 to 27. Exactly, Friesen. That's the whole point. Is that you're starting to see, and I'm sure on crypto Twitter you're going to see a lot of people pumping the shit out of this thing. And excuse my French, but you're going to see, hey, this is the bottom on XRP. Right? It could bust a move right here. And this is your opportunity to get yourself out of this. Right? And at least hold free shares or break even. right? You don't have to be a paying member of TradingView. No. TradingView, well, you have to pay for the charts on TradingView, sure. But, I mean, you can look at the chart yourself, and I'll go over it, and you're in my Discord channel, I'm assuming. So, you can always ask me there. But just keep an eye on this. Draw this the same way I'm doing, right? That area right there is big time resistance. And if it breaks, you can see how it came short of it right there, because they knew just up above, there's your resistance. That's why it's falling short of that. If it breaks above this area right here, let's call it 2249, it's going to break that resistance. People are reloading right here and attempting a breakout. This is a possible breakout move. And don't listen to what anybody else on Twitter tells you. I mean, if they're telling you it's dog crap or the chart looks like hell, don't listen to them. Everybody's got their own opinions, right? I'm just telling you what I'm seeing. And I'm not saying it looks like dog crap. It's still bearish below this line, right? It's still bearish. Okay, we have to admit that. But it's trying to make a bullish move to get above that. You're welcome, BA. My pleasure. Hope you get your money back, man. That would be awesome if you do. I would love that. That would be awesome. Okay, any other questions? And I see Bitcoin is trying to bust out a little bit more here. It's turning that yeah, you'll get it back. You'll get it back. Just stick with us, man. Stick with us. We'll get you trained up. So Bitcoin's trying to test this 78.6 retracement right here. Golly, this is not what I really thought might happen. I still think it's going to chop a little bit more. It's busting a move here. But I'm still of the opinion that if it breaks, here's kind of my thinking on Bitcoin. If it breaks this 78.6, then usually what happens is it comes up and tests the 1272. But I would expect if it does that, then it probably pulls back off that, and then we'll see if it holds back in this area, and then eventually goes to 9,000. This is not going to get there today. It's not going to get there tomorrow, in my opinion. But let's watch this 78.6 retracement, because this could pop a move to, at the very minimum, 8,500 very quickly. And then eventually to 8,700 in that area. And then we'll see a pullback off that, I would think. So, and then BSV, still the same thing. I'm still thinking this probably retraces back into this area. Litecoin, we talked about that one. Still thinking this one probably gets up into the 55 to 60 range before we see a retrace off that. What else we got? Let's go look at dominance and see how it's doing after that Bitcoin move. And yeah, sure enough, it's holding a low right here, back above 70, and alts might suffer a little bit. So we'll see. I think there's still a little bit of time. Left. Let's see, freezing. Kind of in a familiar situation with ADA. I was just looking to find you at a good time. Oh, thank you, man. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Well, that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help. I want to try to teach anybody that has been in a position where I was, right? I was in a bad spot and a long time ago, and just had to bite the bullet and learn some stuff, and luckily enough for me, I had good teachers, right? I had good teachers, and especially one teacher. Okay, no dumb questions. There's no such thing. Okay, what exchanges? All right, so BA, here's the exchanges I use, and this is just how I do things. I spread my money out over multiple accounts, okay? So I use KuCoin, I use Binance USA, I use Bittrex, I use Coinbase Pro and Coinbase. Those are the accounts, and I spread them out. I spread the money out because I don't want to have all my money tied up in one exchange. What if that exchange goes bankrupt, or there's some sort of lawsuit, or some sort of you never can tell, right? So spread your money out. And as far as my stocks go, obviously I use TD Ameritrade. I use that for options and stock trading. Pros and cons. Well, there's pros and cons with anything. KuCoin has some coins that Binance doesn't have, or Bittrex, and vice versa. Fees are fairly minimal. I don't think now Coinbase is very expensive on their fees. I will say that. But I just like having some money in there because that's kind of where I funnel my money whenever I want to, transfer stuff. If I want to get it back to my bank account or whatever. But their fees, I don't use it so much to trade a lot, Coinbase. But I do keep money there. I'll trade it occasionally, but yeah. But Bittrex, Binance USA. Of course, I can't trade the original Binance because I'm here in the United States. But anyway. You're welcome. My pleasure. And if there's another exchange you guys, obviously I've seen Robinhood, but I don't use it. I guess I could. Give me another exchange to kind of spread stuff around. But if you guys know of any other places, let me know. Just remember, I'm in the U.S., so if it's something that I can't get into, there's some places I've tried to get into, but they won't let me because I'm U.S. Okay, any other questions, guys? Questions or chart requests? Yeah, look at this. That's why I love the 78.6. BTC is having a hard time getting above that. Look at that. Right there. 78.6 retracement. I mean, and it almost hit it on the button. So, again, original thinking, choppy to the up. Getting some volatility. All right. Any other questions, guys? Anything? I sure hope everybody goes back that didn't get to watch this video. I really hope you guys get to go back and look at my was it the EOS chart that I did? that was glorious. That was just drawing it from scratch. That was amazing. MetaMask. Good browser wallet, by the way. Okay, thanks, Friesen. Appreciate it. Okay, anything else we want to look at? Let's go look at some stuff we haven't looked at real quick. RVN. This is another one that kind of similar to Matic, but not so bad as Matic, right? And you can get patterns. You can just look at patterns with stuff. And so what do we have on RVN? Matchless. Let's see. In general, do I feel prices drop over the weekend? Well, I don't think they're going to drop dramatically. I've talked about it before, but going back to, and I'm assuming you're talking about Bitcoin. I went over this earlier. I was like, hey, look, we've broken the neckline. We've retested the neckline. Okay. We've retested the 50 EMA. We've also held the first wave. Wave 4 cannot violate wave 1. I mean, if it's a minimal area, yeah, you could, but minimal. But it didn't violate it, and now it's bouncing off of it to go into wave 5. Right? And so that's my thinking, is that, but wave 5s normally ought to be kind of choppy up, right? I just think this is going to be a choppy move to the upside, and it's going to take probably a week to play out. Oh, generally over weekends? I just think that I to be honest with you, I really haven't gone and looked over like all weekends to see what things do. So that's a hard one to answer, really. I think that gosh, I don't know. I mean, in my opinion, I just wouldn't want to see like the futures close on a Friday, and if I'm one that is of the opinion that I'm long, I don't want to see the like the regular price go way up over the weekend. I would want it to stay stable, slightly down, and maybe even preferably gap down a little bit. And then by the time Sunday rolls around, because let's see where the futures closed out on Friday. Let's just take a look. All right, so the futures closed at 81.25, right? We're sitting at 80.92. Yeah. See, I would much prefer that we pull back and hold above. I would like to see us hold above 7,900. I think anything below 8,100 is probably a buying opportunity going into Sunday, right? And if you get some sort of, I mean, this would be a dream for some people, but if you get some sort of big move down, like into, let's call it 7,800, I think that's like free money, in my opinion, because it's going to go back and fill that gap pretty quick on Sunday, right? So watch tomorrow and see what happens tomorrow. But I would almost prefer, if I was long, I would want it to gap down. I don't want to see it gap up. So I don't want to see Bitcoin. I really don't want to see Bitcoin above, well, and of course, I mean, I say that, but it could come up here and drop all the way back down and people could make some money on the upside in the meantime. But I don't want to see Bitcoin up at 8,600 by the time Sunday night rolls around. Let's put it that way. I don't want a gap. I don't want to have to come back and worry about that gap filling. Hopefully that makes sense, because gaps fill. I would just prefer that it chop around all weekend long until tomorrow night and stay in this 8,100 area. That would suit me fine. I would be totally happy with that. Okay, any other questions? Chart requests? BSV. There we go. Okay, BSV. Okay, so it broke the 236. Let's take that out. There we go. All right. So BSV is going to come back and should get back. We'll see what happens at this upper Bollinger Band at 0.1857. But eventually I think it probably maybe bounces off this 0.178. Okay, Friesen, LPT USD. Let's go look. Have I done that one before? I guess I haven't. Hang on. I don't see it. LPT USD. Live Pure. That sounds familiar. It seems like I've done that one before. Yeah, guess not. Let's see. All right. Let me look at this real quick. All right. All right. This is what I want to see right here. Okay. Let's go right there. Let's actually do this. Let's do a rectangle. And let's go right there. Okay. And then let's do, so that was support, which is now going to be resistance. Okay. Yeah, oh, maybe it was the BTC pair. Okay. Yeah. Maybe it was. All right. So let's go and look at. All right. So we get a higher low right here. Higher low. Let's go take a look at our fibs. Let's see if maybe the 236. That broke that. Okay. And then let's go to the longer time frame. That was that one. All right, now let's go. That's not even gonna be close to the 236. There ain't no way. Get off there. There we go. All right, and then let's throw on the 236. Wow. Okay, so we got some fib clusters going here. Okay. All right, now let's zoom in. And let's see what we got going on the downside. And that's interesting. Okay. All right. Okay, so here we go. Did some longer term fib trends and retracements and shorter term. So your area to hold is $1.12, right? That's the area to hold. Below that, $1. Okay, $1 even is going to be your area. And then the area to break, obviously, is right here above this red zone. Okay? And you got your 38.2 retracement, which is right in the middle of this old area that was support, which is now resistance, at $1.73. You got your 50 EMA at $1.62. And you got your Bollinger Bands that are real tight right in here. So it's a toss-up, really. What I do like is that it's made a higher low, higher low, higher low. So if you was wanting to ladder into something like this, I would rather wait until it got to $1.13, possibly even $1. Now you could buy a very small percent, like right in here now, but just knowing the risk that it could drop farther, right? And you have to be prepared for that. But also be prepared that when you get up to the 38.2, that you've got a lot of resistance right there as well. So that's what I would be watching. Yeah, it could definitely range below that for a while, before it finally decides to break out of it or break down. I just, it's hard to say, but I do like the fact that, that was it's not quite a hammer candle, but that long wick just shows you where big time support is, right? All right. So that's LPUSD. Get that. There we go. That's logged in and saved now. You're welcome. You are welcome. Anything else going on out there? Let's see. ADA. Haven't looked at that one a little bit. Yeah, it's just ADA is just consolidating. Look at this. Now here's something to really pay attention to, and I think we talked about this before. You know, you had the big long downtrend, and now look at this. Just going sideways, kind of consolidating. 200 and 233 are right there. Okay? So if this thing can peek its head above the 200-day moving average, guys, keep an eye on. I'm just telling you, keep an eye on, because this thing could break out. Okay? Just keep an eye on. So ADA is definitely on watch list. And it could bust a move like that. You see this? See this right here? Kind of looks familiar to that, doesn't it? So the minute it starts getting up here and testing it, then it could break out and you get shorts covering, you get, yeah. So if there's people shorting in this area right here, God help them. Because how stupid would that be? I mean, that's a big risk for shorts in this area. And if they're still holding on, then that's just being overly greedy and they will get punished. So, anyway, we'll see. So that's ADA. Algo. I think I obviously did this chart. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's get rid of some stuff here and clean it up. And not really liking. I'm going to have to get rid of that fib because everything lines up to 0. I'll go. Not really liking that one too much. Get rid of all that. Let's see if anything lines up. That's a bottom there, top here. Let's do some retracements here. Aha! Okay. So, algo. If anybody likes algo and they're wanting to play it, this is your opportunity. And this is the BTC pair. From this low to this high, your retracement back to the 78.6 at 26.40. Knowing that your risk is down to 22.64. After that, 1,500. On the upside, you're looking to test. You can see it hasn't had enough history to have a full 200-day moving average, but it's starting to come in right now up here, coincidentally at this high. So that's amazing. There we go. See that? And we'll change that to red. So if it busts a move, and let's just assume that that is the bottom, if it is. All right, this is all for play and just see 38. There we go. All right. So if that's the bottom on algo, then your targets to the upside, obviously you'll want to watch the EMAs, but first target could be at 33.67, then 35.80, 37.93. So that's what you'll be watching. Okay, what else do we got? Did algo? Let's see. Bitcoin, obviously. There we go. Okay, yeah, just choppy. Choppy. All right, guys, any other questions? I'm getting ready to go get something to eat and watch some football, unless you guys have any questions. Questions or chart requests? And guys, if you do me a favor, just hit the like button. That would really, really please help me out. Hit the like button on the video. Silent Jarrett. Hang on. Silent Jarrett. Hang on. Hot USD. Hang on just a second. Let me look at that. Don't want to leave you hanging. Hang on 1 second. Hot USD T. Okay, so hot. Oops, let me get over to hot. I think it's pretty much like algo, to be honest with you. Got a higher low, right? There's your support. And let's just make that green. All right, so support made a higher low, right? Let's go look at some fib retracements. Higher low, higher low, higher low. Higher high, higher high, higher high. I would be playing this to the long side. Just knowing that right in here is going to be resistance. Right there. It was resistance there. It's resistance here, and it's resistance there. So you could play the breakout. 10 and 20 have crossed. They're holding. So one would think that this moves higher. Let's draw a fib on it from back here. And let's see if anything lines up. All right, so yeah. 38.2 right up here. Close to your resistance line. And then take it from there. So that's what I would be thinking on hot. I would be thinking that this goes a little higher, possibly to test the... I'm not saying exactly get there, but you could get to 75.85 and maybe even retest 73.03. All right, guys. With that, I will leave it there. And if you guys have any questions, you know where I'm at in Discord. Just private message me or talk in the channel, whatever. I'm always there to help, answer any questions. But for now, I am going to get something to eat. I am starving. So you guys have a good rest of your evening. I'll be back around the channel a little bit later, and we'll see where things are at. Thanks again, guys, and I sure much appreciate y'all coming in. Y'all have a good evening.